Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take. Some good news, bad news hot take, I guess you would call it. I do the webcomic factory, and one of the comics I do is the anti-war comic, and one of the regular features within the anti-war comic, which is all political, is left world, right world. It's sort of like good news, bad news. Although sometimes I criticize the right in that too. I mean they're not above criticism. But these next few articles I felt were kind of like back and forth. Bit of good news for Trump fans, I think. Trump reconciles with ex strategist Steve Bannon in talks on election. So, if Trump is going to come back, this is the guy who could help him. And we'll see what happens. Because I think Bannon's instincts were pretty good. Trump seemed to bristle underneath, having him around once he did get elected. And he may be one of those guys who's great while you're trying to get there, but not so great with policy. But I think a lot of what he pushed seemed to be on the nose, and maybe Trump has learned that, or maybe they've just reconciled and said, let's let bygones be bygones. We have bigger fish to fry. So a second Trump run will be very interesting if and when it happens. So keep an eye out for that. Bad news, for some anyway, another violent leftist arrested at U.S. Capitol, according to Gateway Pundit. Registered Democrat and 34-year-old son of New York judge. It's funny they don't talk about this. This is him right there. And apparently he stole this police vest, that's bad news. That's really bad news. I mean, it's bad enough he's pictured in the Capitol, but he had a police vest on. That's not a good look. Not a good look. Now I don't know if he is a leftist. Just because he are registered as a Democrat doesn't mean anything. But he is the son of a judge, so don't worry. He'll probably skate. This is really good news. The U.S. to block cotton from Chinese region over Uyghur crackdown. In case you don't know it, the Chinese have cracked down on the Uyghurs for years and years, and they do horrible things to them. They keep them in what is essentially concentration camps. They've done terrible things that I'm reluctant to even repeat on YouTube. They're so horrific. But one of the things they do is they force them to pick cotton. I mean, they're actual slaves who pick cotton. This is what leftists in the United States do not care about. They don't care one iota about these people. Not one iota. Not one mention of them. Not one protest for them. This is where the left is. Back in the day, the left would have protested this. They would have been the only ones talking about it. Now, I mean, the only reason they're talking about it is because Trump did this. The ban affects about 20% of the global cotton supply, according to the Workers' Rights Consortium. Well, there's some actual leftists there. Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible. All of China should be boycotted, really, until they stop this. Democrats' main impeachment goal: to keep Trump from running for office ever again. Yeah, they're pretty straightforward about that. I don't think it's going to happen. It looks like Mitch McConnell is signaling he's not even going to do anything. But who knows? I mean, in this topsy-turvy time period, maybe they rush it through on the 19th. I don't know. That the 19th is the first day they're even going to talk about it. I kind of think, even if you believe Trump should be impeached, I think you have to admit to yourself you need more than a day to do it. Mexican president promises to lead international coalition against big tech censorship, compares it to the Spanish Inquisition. How can a company act as if it was all powerful and omnipotent? It's sort of a Spanish Inquisition on what is expressed. Well, I'm glad somebody's standing up for the First Amendment. It's a shame it has to be people from another country. But this is where we're at today. I guess maybe I can go make my comics in Mexico, and as long as I don't bother the cartel, I think I'll be okay. Some Democrats in Congress are worried that their colleagues might kill them. House members are openly accusing far-right representatives of threatening their health and safety after Capitol riot. First off, there are no far-right members. Name one far-right member in the House. The far-right is... no far-right members are elected. That just doesn't happen. There are far-left ones. At least ones that pretend to be far-left. I don't think they're actually far-left. I don't think Ocasio-Cortez is actually a socialist or a communist. She's just a grifter, I think. She just pretends to be that so she can get reelected and so she could sell you a $58 sweatshirt, apparently. Yeah, it was a real socialist there. This is more paranoia, and I'm not surprised by it because the way the Democrats are acting, I mean, they're really acting like what Twitter is, you know? Twitter has become an echo chamber where people are just constantly smelling their own farts and going, oh my God, what's happening, we're being attacked. You know, you live in that world long enough, you get sucked in. I mean, there are a lot of paranoid people on Twitter. I'm mainly off it. I'm still kind of tweeting the book stuff out, the book links, because I'm still selling books. So as long as I keep selling stuff, I guess I'll be okay. But it's a real S show there. I don't do it as much as I did. Please support my books so I don't have to go to Twitter anymore. Sticks and Hammer the other day announced he sold 1,500 of one of his books, which I was like, wow, I'd like to do that. It's a book called 1900, The Last President. Sounds like an intriguing book. It's a book that's very similar in terms of what's happening now. It's about a socialist takeover of the United States in the year 1900. So it's got a lot of parallels. And he also, the same author apparently wrote a series of books about a character named Baron Trump, oddly enough. So it's a weird sort of synchronicity on some of those names and concepts. And finally, breaking. Trump's team, Peter Navarro, drops third major report on historic election something, which I probably can't say on YouTube. Confirms something. Maybe you could see it on the screen right there. This is big. I mean, it is big. I mean, I know Gateway Pundit's a little over the top, but, you know, this report is really not going to be, you know, stuff like this coming out. It's just going to keep coming out over the next months and years. Stuff is going to come out about the election. It is going to hurt the Democrats. It's going to hurt them. And the more they try to push it away and say, oh, it's bunk, the more it hurts the media, the more it hurts them. They are ruining their party. I know, it doesn't seem that way. They're all in power, but, I mean, look at what they're doing. Eric Swalwell got a promotion, essentially, from, not only is he still in Congress, he should be gone. He should be forced to resign, at least be censured and taken out of any serious committees. Nancy Pelosi basically anointed him and put him head of the impeachment, coalition or whatever they called it. That is not a good look. Nancy Pelosi she just doesn't care at this point, I guess. I think the Democrats are in for a reckoning that's going to be epic. I really do. And there's rumbles on the Hill that, you know, the constant lying, the constant use of the media just to scrub everything. You know, this is part of the problem with people and politicians especially. Once they get away with something, they tend to do it again and again and again until the point when it breaks, right? So you look at the stimulus. They're doing another stimulus. Biden's already touting a $2 trillion stimulus package. This is a disaster, okay? First off, it's going to be mostly a giveaway to companies. You're not going to see much of it, and what you do see of it, you still have to pay for. You have to pay for down the road. He's going to raise your taxes like crazy, so save your money. Um, it's just, it's not good. It's not good what he's doing at all. Democrats are notorious for not understanding basic economics. The thing about Republicans is most of them usually came out of the business world. So they at least had a nominal understanding of supply and demand and market and, how you make money. Trump certainly did. But my God, Biden, he's just pouring fire, fire on gasoline at this point, which to me is a better analogy. He's not pouring gasoline on a fire. He's pouring fire on gasoline. It's like, dude, the last thing we need is for you to just spend a bunch of money. What he needs to do is open the country, which, if he keeps his promise, he's going to lock us down for another 100 days. That's it in South Jersey. I'll tell you right now, everything here will be closed. I think I'll be laid off again. I think all the stores that managed to survive up to now, especially the restaurants, they'll be gone. The takeout places might survive, but the restaurants, like the places that have like a building with tables, they'll be gone. They'll all be gone. Unless you have a drive-through, you're done. And then a bunch of them will go out of business too. It's a spiraling effect, right? Because as more people go out of work, there are fewer customers. As you have fewer customers, the restaurants on the bottom start to go out. They start to go out of business. Even the takeout places, even the franchise places. And then there are other restaurants that were a little higher up that are there now on the bottom. And then they start to suffer. And then more people are out of work and more people go out of business. It's a vicious cycle. You can't just pump it up with more money. It pumps up the stock market for a while. Then what? No one ever has an answer. No one ever has an answer. We got to pay our bills, which, libertarians have been warning for generations at this point. Got to pay our bills. We got to balance the budget. Ron Paul had a plan. He was going to slash $1 trillion out of government his first day in office. Would have been amazing. Would have been amazing. Would have gotten us financially solvent. There would have been a lot of red tape cut. But guess what? You would have been able to open a business without much oversight from the state or the federal government. I can tell you story after story in New Jersey how a friend tried to open a business and it went out of business because the government wouldn't leave them alone, especially restaurants. They are hard on restaurants around here, especially when you open up. And it's hard. It's hard to get people to come and eat in your place. When everybody's out of work, no one's going to go eat. Who the hell's going to go out to eat when you're barely surviving? I know what it's like to be broke. I'm not poor, but I'm always broke. Like, broke enough that I was eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for years at a time. You don't go out to eat. That is like a special treat that, oh my God, I'm going out to eat. Hooray. People aren't going to do that. And that's the end of restaurants. And a bunch of other things too. We don't make anything anymore. Trump was trying to bring industry back. Biden's not doing that. Biden wants to re-up what we were doing with China. That sent all the jobs to China because they have slave labor in China. Slave labor. That's what the Uyghurs are. They're slaves. Now, it's not everybody in China. It's a lot of people in China. Enough so, man, it just reduces the cost of doing business. It's sick what they do. It's absolutely sick. We should be boycotting China, especially right now. But is Beijing Biden, the man who accepted money from China through his son, going to do that? No way. Dark winter is coming. That's the one thing Biden said that I believe.